Hello and welcome to Wasm Cloud's community call for August 19th. Today we're going to talk about our doc of the week, some great doc enhancements that Eric's been making, and new contributors in the docs happening right now. We're going to talk about our PRs that we have in flight. If you're interested in the Epoch work that we've been doing, we'll dive in a little bit deeper on that and some of the options that exist in the WebAssembly ecosystem. And I also, at the end, and didn't add it to the agenda because it just happened, we're going to talk about the WASI SDK GitHub Action that Victor got released. So, up first, Eric, do you mind showing us the doc of the week?
Not at all, thank you. So this is all about Go. Traditionally, our ecosystem has leaned into the TinyGo approach to building WebAssembly components from Go, especially back in V1 and early V2, but that's been a little bit to the neglect of the componentized-go approach. And rather than pushing docs readers down a single path for a single approach for building components with Go, we wanted to reflect the wider ecosystem out there, especially as in our project we start to look a little more towards componentized Go for some pieces. So the Go language guide has been totally rewritten to break down both options, to go through the differences, and to help users make a decision. So, really clearly breaking down the trade-offs for using each approach and the situations where you might want to go with one tool chain or the other. Now, this is a pretty extensive update, so I won't walk through all of it, but if you're interested in building with Go, it's definitely well worth checking this updated page out. There's another update here, though, from a new contributor, Shreya, who I want to shout out here. We now have, for each page, a copy page function that can copy the page's markdown for LLMs, view the page's markdown, or copy the LLMs.txt link. So this was implemented across two PRs and is super, super appreciated. Thank you, Shreya. Any questions about either of these pieces?
I have a hot take. Anybody
Ooh,
have actual questions? Okay, my hot take. One, love this page. I really appreciate it. My goal is to make it so that you are like, there's no question here. I'm definitely using the componentized Go toolchain. Like that is where I want the puck to move, and I want us all to skate towards where the puck is heading. Sorry for the sports analogy. But basically, when we get Go routines natively using cooperative threading within WASI, it's gonna be so screaming fast and nice that any other option's just gonna be kind of weird and off the beaten path. So I want it to be today, just pick this, just pick componentized Go, and it'll give you the fastest, easiest version to make it work. The other cool thing, I'm not ready to demo it yet, but just so you know that it's happening, um, I was able to componentize Go. And what I mean by that is the steps that componentize-go does is it has bindings generation inside it. So it's got a couple different steps. It's got the adapter step to add in and adapt it to WASI P4. All of that can actually be bundled into a component. And so the benefit of componentizing componentize Go, but that's the version I have right now. But I actually want a componentized version of really just whip bind gen because that's really actually the interesting step that will work for any language, right? And so if you have that componentized, then people can embed that into their system, into their plugins. Like what I got working is I embedded that inside Helm. So in Helm, I use the new, um, I don't know how I want to say it, but I've been calling it WASD, the WAZY project, not to be confused with actual WASI. But that runtime is all written in Go, no C Go. And then because I have that runtime embedded inside Helm, then I can have Helm run with a componentized Go as a component with adaption. And so it can generate plugins that are also components from a component to be loaded inside the Helm runtime so that you have no longer having like they have it where you can run processes basically right now as Helm plugins. That's obviously not super secure. And also the goal there is to prevent you from having to like go download these other binaries. Like, oh, you want to do Wasm? Well, now you need Wasm tools. Now you need componentize-go. Now you need this adapter thingy, and like it's gonna download and mix all these things. No, just have the Helm binary, and we can bundle the rest. And then you can just use Helm to generate Helm plugins. And that's a very specific example for Helm, but you can imagine any project that wants plugins and they want to use components with it can do the exact same thing. So yeah. That stuff's evolving really fast, so if you haven't tried out componentized Go and you're doing Go, you should. Any other questions on Doc of the Week or that Go stuff? And actually, Eric, do you mind bringing up the other blog post that you created about 2.7?
Absolutely. One moment. So here's our 2.7 release blog post, walking through our features at a glance. Any
And so we
particular
went
features to
through
talk
this
about?
in detail on a call, like what was coming in and everything, but I think this is a much easier thing to have to talk through. And I just wanted to highlight that if you want to take advantage of the concurrency change that's called out here, you do have a step you have to take. You have to set max concurrency in the pool size, and that's well called out here. There's also a bunch more of changes that's hard to kind of like run through in a call when it's coming off the top of my head when I'm looking at PRs. So really appreciate having more verbose than just release notes, right? I don't think anybody's looking at the release notes I'm creating when I cut the release for Wasm Cloud because there's too many things in them. It is not for mere mortals to parse. So this has been helpful, at least for me to talk about. I'm curious if other people are reading these and if there's any feedback you have, like anything we should add or like change here to make it better for you, do let us know. All right. Well, as you can see in this bottom part here, where we've been adding pooling quotas, all kinds of different types of policy controls around capabilities. That's been a major effort of the last sprint. It's going to continue on this one. And so I figured I could talk through one of the PRs that we have up right now, which Aditi has been working on. I'm expecting to get that into the next release, which is going to be a really great way to prevent spin locks. So having a greedy, busy, noisy neighbor running on a host and it not impacting other workloads and taking other people down. And the approach that Aditya landed on is using the built-in Epoch on that Wasm time provides. And what that essentially is, you can just think of it as like a timer, a timer-based, rather than doing instruction counting, which is what fuel-based does inside Wasm time. And so instruction counting is obviously deterministic, which is a good thing if you're charging money for those instructions. But a bad thing if you are kind of like, just like, don't let it go too long is all you're looking for. Then you don't want to spend the cycles counting. You want to just kind of like cut it off once it's been too long. And so that's where we've landed with the Epoch work. And one thing we were talking about before we started the call is Aditi was asking me, should we layer fuel metering basically on top of this? So like we do have it as a feature in the host right now where you can enable that on your Wasm time engine config. We surface a little bit of OTel metrics around it, but otherwise we don't have a ton of like Wasm Cloud features built around fuel metering right now. Largely because, like I said before, it's very much for a very specific use case, which is like I'm charging people for the instructions that I'm running, so that it needs to be absolutely accurate and perfect. And I don't care that it's a little bit slower to get that. And for us, for the most part, that's not why we're trying to do it. You know, mostly we're just trying to prevent spin locks and people holding on to work and basically work stealing. So I think right now it's about ready to land. DTS said you've got a couple more changes to make, but then we'll get that one in. I've got two PRs that are up that are also in the policy capability-based space. I think one we should talk through really fast. Here, I'll pull up my screen. Um, Probably don't want to see all of yourselves. We have, nope, those are just kind of bug fixes. Okay, this is a DTS change. It's 5451. It's a fairly large, significant, like large t-shirt size change. So if folks want to try this out and give us feedback, will be very much appreciated before we cut the release on Tuesday. And if you don't, we're cutting the release anyways. But I think would appreciate the extra help and usage to make sure at least like the values make sense to you. I kind of am mad at myself for cutting the release 2 weeks back on max invocations. It made a ton of sense to me because I wrote it, but once other people started trying to use it, they assumed max invocations was like the max number of concurrent invocations that are allowed to be in flight. And when you say that out loud, you're like, yeah, that makes sense. Oh, crap. Because what I actually meant max invocations to mean is the max amount of invocations I do on an instance until I kill the instance. And it should have been a refresh. I'm thinking like instance refresh limit or something like that. The idea being when you intend to run an ephemeral workload, aka I'm running a component and then I'm kind of basically expecting to scale it down to 0, but I really want to take advantage of the max concurrent instances. So I want to be able to kind of have a pool of these things, have them be warm, have them quickly service these requests, and be able to also concurrently service requests. There's a solid chance that state is going to kind of accumulate or leak through this thing that was intended to be stateless. And not just that being a problem, but in some components, they like TinyGo, a lot of people choose to disable the garbage collector in TinyGo. That's sort of the default mode that people use, and that gets them a way smaller component. But guess what? You no longer have a garbage collector. So if you're assuming that that's running in a like fire and then tear down mode, you're going to have a bad time because that's going to continue just growing memory over time. And so this is kind of like to give you a knob to say like, all right, like at this point, just kill it, start over fresh, and then I won't have that state. So that's an example of now when we're doing these things, I want some more people to kind of try it out and make sure all these new knobs are making a lot of sense because we're basically this sprint and the last one is very much like introducing a bunch of policy configuration knobs. And on that kind of point, we've got one more thing that I want folks to kind of think about and give us feedback on. Actually, two things. They're somewhat related, but way less related than they sound. This first one is one that Jeremy's working on, and the idea being, for the most part, what I've seen end users do is they take Wasm Cloud, they deploy a host, and if they're in a service mesh-like situation with either Linkerd or with Istio Envoy, they have a sidecar container sit right next to the host. And so they're really happy with that because that's still in the same local network of the pod when it's a sidecar container. And so really fast, really nice. But there are other cases where people have deployed, like, let's say, like a more of a load balancer reverse proxy sitting in front of maybe multiple hosts. And when they've done that, they really don't want to exit the local networking stack because it's not a sidecar container for them. And in their case, they know that they don't have a network policy or a service mesh or something that has to sit in between this work. So in that scenario, you could flip on your own flag to say, okay, I know what I'm doing, one, and two, I'm going to turn on a local routing and have the host just basically self-route on itself and not bounce all the way out. I'm interested in feedback on this one, if it makes sense to folks, if they really don't want us to add something like this, or if there are better alternatives. So this one is up right now. And then a second one that is kind of related in that I want individual workloads to basically be able to self-route. And so this is really inspired by the same kind of feature that Docker has, docker.internal. And if I want to basically say right now, if you say localhost and you're in a workload, and you're doing some kind of socket connection, you're gonna get TCP loopback built in, and you're gonna hit your service. That's the default, and the default is the most secure option that we can come up with. That's always going to be our answer here in Wasm Cloud. But you may choose to allow a virtual loopback and be able to no, I want to talk. I'm going to talk to my service. I'm also going to do some other HTTP requests. Don't try to be too smart. I will make sure I'm using hostname routing. And then same thing on actually I'm going to try to talk HTTP, but on the same host. And maybe there's some other services that are floating about on my host that I want to hit. And so that is something else that we can add. And so this way, again, it lets people kind of be very clear that they're not expecting to egress from the host, and they want to have that routing there. So I'm not going to promise having this done by Tuesday. But it was something that I wanted to get drafted up to get early feedback on. And if people can give me use cases so that I make sure that I'm hitting what your needs are, that would be really helpful for this one. And so those are some of the PRs that are in flight. And yeah, I think that was the main stuff I wanted to cover. Any questions on any of that? Alrighty. Hey Victor, would you be game to talk about the GitHub Action that you've gotten released today?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, let me share my screen real quick. I wonder if I can. Okay.
You can now.
Okay, great. Okay, so hopefully y'all can see my screen now. Okay, so this is sort of a little known project, I guess. Some people use it inside the BA, and I know a bunch of the sort of BA projects and in our projects we use it as well. WASI SDK is basically like a tool chain that sort of packages Clang or Clang, depending on how you like to pronounce it, and like the WASI sysroot. So in this case, you can think of that as like libc, but WASified. And it's what lets you easily build, any languages that basically use Clang. So let's say C and C++, build those code bases into WebAssembly components. Setting up tool chains for, C and C++ projects is, there are lots of ways to do it, right? There's Ninja, there's Meson, there's like CMake, there's all these other options. But basically what all of those need to do is basically you need to get a copy of essentially WASI SDK and WASI libc, right? So basically this action and this repo helps you to get a version of WASI SDK that has been released much easier than you could otherwise before. Because otherwise you'd have to find the right release, download the right release, unpack it, et cetera, and install things, right? So ideally using this action, that becomes basically two steps, right? You sort of use the WASI SDK action. Right now, the version we've actually got released today is 0.10. There will be a V1 very soon, but for now, we're testing it out and making sure the release is good before putting out the V1 tag. And so basically, you set this up. At this point, Clang is set up, and you should be able to compile C straight to WebAssembly, right? So it should be as easy as this. Now, this has existed for a while. Everyone up until now has been using it basically via the tags, right? So, or I should say commit hashes, because you can do that. If you have a repo that represents a GitHub action, you can just, use it as a commit hash. But we now have a proper version out. Like I said, it's 0.10. A lot of changes have gone in here. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's sort of been landed over the years. I think at this point, like I think last year, this thing might have existed, or at least early this year. But one of the interesting things I think that's worth highlighting is that now you can get, and this wasn't there before, is you can actually use a experimental version, or basically a release candidate version of WASI SDK. So WASI SDK, there's a lot of work going on in WASI SDK and like WASI libc right now, especially with like the threading stuff for P3. But importantly, being able to be on the cutting edge of WASI SDK is pretty useful. So right now, the latest version I think is 34.0 rc.2. So now you can actually set that up and then build C and C++ components really, really easily. We actually use this in Jaco to test a P3 component that is built in C. Mendy, who works with us, submitted an issue to Jaco using this sort of newer tool chain, essentially a newer version of WASI SDK that is made so that you can run Clang with a target that is actually Wasm, like Wasm 32 WASI P3. And so for us to run that from CI in Jaco and be able to like build a component and run the component to use it as like a fixture, we needed to make this change to the WASI SDK action to make it super easy, because we already used the WASI SDK action, but we couldn't pull the sort of latest RC version. We could only pull a published version, which it's been a while since they published a full version. They've been going through RCs for a bit now. So this thing is now on the marketplace. So you can actually go out and just use it. And so this should make workflows a whole lot easier. Again, right now the tag is actually 0.10. I'm going to just test this really quickly myself to make sure it works just fine. And then we'll bump this to V1, and hopefully we won't need any breaking changes or anything crazy anytime soon. But yeah, in general, this is out there. You can use it now. If you're building C and C++ projects in CI with WASI SDK, this should make your life a whole lot easier.
Thank you, Victor. You can also see on Victor's screen, Brett Cannon, who works on CPython, is using this as well. So that's the main shout about being able to use the new RC, is that that's where we've got an implementation of cooperative threading in the ABI. And as Victor said, also being able to just directly target WASI P3. So LLVM, the next release, will have Wasm 32 WASI P3 as a known target, but you could use it today if you use this tool. So that's the main thing to call out there. Any questions on this one? All right, sweet. Hey, we have a new person on the call today. I just wanted to say hi and welcome. Adam, do you mind introducing yourself?
Awesome cloud community. Yeah, I'll be brief. Been following the project from my former CTO. About 3 years ago, he told me about this thing called Wasm. I'm like, okay. And then I chewed con about 2 years ago. I stalked Liam and I said hi. I said, my CTO told me to pay attention to you guys. And fast forward 2 years later, now I have a group of engineers working on implementing Wasm with our architecture. I'm a former Microsoft digital app innovation specialist, and my role at Microsoft was helping commercialize IP and put it into enterprise platforms and products. I'm a founder. My co-founder actually is the author of Docker. So he wrote 92% of the original Docker source code. And so, we're building using now Wasm, I can officially say we're building effectively a portal that allows for compute to be heterogeneously scheduled from data centers that may be owned by, let's say, a neocloud to a developer portal that instantiates a Linux environment in Wasm that then can allow for development to occur in browser without needing to log into AWS for compute resources. And so I paid attention to my CTO 3 years ago, and it got me back here. So we are using quite a few Wasm components. The team includes members from Cisco, members from Google, members from AWS Azure. I could go on and on about the team, but it's really about making sure that as Wasm scales, we have supported resources and referring to cross development across our teams, the company's called BTR, by the way. We have a bunch of engineers. We want to start contributing to the Wasm upstream and basically supporting the project as we see it. So quietly been working and researching and stalking Liam, and now we're here.
That's awesome. Thank you. It's always really cool to hear how many people have been watching and waiting in the wings for us to get to a place where people can really start building and being really effective at what they're doing with Wasm. Awesome that you've got a real solid use case for it. Obviously we've got lots of different people that do both Wasm Club work, but also Bytecode Alliance and also standards work. So it's definitely a good community to be connected to and ask questions, and we can definitely route you to the right people if we don't already know the answer. If you're doing browser stuff, Victor is the guy to talk to. He's your maintainer for JCO, making it really easy for you to have bindings to basically JavaScript, and also being able to take JavaScript and turn that into a WebAssembly component. Yordis has an update. Thank you, Adam. And if you ever have a demo or anything you want to share, or shout out to the community, just let us know. We'll toss you on the agenda. We meet every Wednesday. Every Wednesday is a WASI Club Wednesday.
I saw that. Yeah, thank you. I'll send over my LinkedIn. We actually have a bunch of demos, and my favorite one right now is something called Hollow Spaces, and we could talk through, especially from the developer, how we're using Wasm in that exact use case. We basically underpinned the Wasm instance with our novel mathematics, and that is a whole rabbit hole, but the novel mathematics allows for simulated quantum effects on standard silicon that then provides that as a browser type. So it's really going to be an interesting 2026 into 7.
It sounds awesome. It sounds sci-fi. Can't wait to see it.
It's cool.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, Yordis, you got stuff you want to share?
Yeah, just a small update. I cannot share, Bailey. Bailey, you doing your job over there as a host, or?
Nope, I fell asleep.
Hey, it's not me.
All right, so incoming component model changes. I have this pull request here, 6.99 cents. Effectively adding top level, allowing top level types. That's it. So you should be able to do now something like that, where your records, enums, resources are not there for no strong reason, just like simple steps right now for what I actually need right away. But this one should allows you to have the top level types if everything is merged. I already made it work in Wasm tools and Bygen. Yeah.
I would expect this to be a big change.
What do you mean?
Well, previously all types were associated with an interface, and And if you already have it working, it must not have been as hard as I thought it should be.
No. Primarily because like there are two situations, right? Like I learned, by the way, that everything is self-contained in the WAT file. By the way, it drives me nuts, this WAT file. Oh my God. Don't tell Luke, but like whoever decided to use Lisp, I love you and I hate you at the same time.
Well, that was WebAssembly, but also Luke.
I do like data. Yeah. Anyway, but no, it was not that much of a work. Primarily because like it just behaved the same as before. Anyway, you would import all the types, right, and give it an identity inside the what, right? So it's self-contained. Resolving the identity is what may be an issue, a tricky bit, but you already have a namespace, right, which is a package. So it acts as a normal like namespacing. Okay, this belongs to the package directly, right? So it's not that problematic. It's just you're dropping like I guess like one layer, right? Instead of package to make a point, package / API, everything will be just package, and then right there you use it. There are a few weird things that I don't like the way you use it sometimes, right? For example, like this, right? That's now like a type, which I don't know. I kind of don't like it because I rather just do dot here and then point sometime and ask and whatever. But I'm kicking that can later and waiting for look. And
I think I would want, in that example, I'd want your use definition inside the interface so it's scoped there. Or expand it so that you have a second interface so that you can show that it's globally referenced between both.
I think you can do both. At least in the unit test that I trying to put here, like half of this test, half of these files are like a lot of these things. Yeah, so yeah.
239, did I just see that? Bro.
I mean, like I say, half of them is like me being paranoid, and until I run out of like combination and permutation, and like the eye telling me like, yeah, dude, buddy, just stop. Okay, fine. I don't want to break anything. Okay, so I'm like, I'm permutating this. So half of this is just like, like unit test artifacts and stuff like that. Anyway, so but in here there is already the combination of putting this over here and putting this over here and over here and putting this over here and over here and fail if they like conflict with each other. Yeah.
Does it work with implements or external ID? Will you add a unit test for that?
Okay, Bailey. Thank you for giving me work. You see, I come here for like show things and I leave with more work. Wait, let me take a note. External.
It should. So, but the problem is that I did
implements.
Implements is by definition an instance type on a world item. But if you can define types at a top level and you can import, and you don't have to import them through an interface, I'm not sure how that would show up in a world definition that had implements.
Let me get back to you. You see? Now I'm like, let me get back to you. Thank you, Bailey.
Yeah. I just want to point out something funny too. So like you guys, I actually think in WAT. Like that is how my brain works. And then anytime I have to try to do this WIT stuff, I'm like, I can already do it all in WAT. Why do I have to keep adding all of these 10 new features when it's just right there? You can just do it now. So it's nice to hear what a normal human is like. That's like, yeah, no, let's
I think you're crazy. Yeah, you're crazy. Fair. Like if you think this is actually beautiful to deal with, oh my God, no.
Well, you could do everything. You literally like 70% of the features we've been adding to the component model, you could have already done the whole time. You could have just done it.
You could have just write binary as well.
Exactly.
Not a good time for that. By like assembly.
Yes. You know, Oscar Spencer, one of my favorite people in the WebAssembly space, he actually wrote a Python interpreter on stage live in WAT. So if you haven't seen that talk, you should see it. Maybe some of us are just truly broken, but
that's why people pick Lisp. Data and programming are the exact same thing, so you get really, really beautiful things with that language. That's why I'm like, I'm happy, but like, okay. Anyway, so that's a update thus far. I made it work in the Wasm tool. The width I had to go back because I break some changes here. but the binding are also there. So by now, I'm just waiting for people to co-review this one primarily because, folks like okay, what about these cases? Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you for doing that, Yordis. I mean, the one I'm most excited about is your annotation stuff, but you have to do that so that you can have them in the annotation. Is that basically why?
Yeah. So like yes. So first of all, Luke already have other use cases where people like keep like, please give me this as well. But the goal that I have is this one, is the 694, which are the annotations we talked about it before, right?
I'm so
Where we
excited
would
about these.
have wait, where did it go? Where did my example went?
Well, that's the type declaration. You need your
Oh,
annotation
jeez, I'm
PR.
not in the correct one. Okay, I'm like,
Yeah.
what the heck is this? Here.
Gotcha.
Okay, sorry. Okay. What the heck is this? Yeah, so technically my goal is this one, where we would need to do something like that, right? So you'll be like, hey, this type is an annotation type, right? But at this point, your package is no longer about interfaces on the world, right? Like now you could have a complete package that is just about the types for the sake of the annotations. So that's why they're allowed top level, right? It's like a bundle of types, I guess. And then you would just like annotate the name of the package, the type, and then the inputs that are effectively the type that is pointing to. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the goal.
You asked me to add to this last week and I didn't do it. And it's still actually on a piece of paper in front of me right now, I promise. But that paper also looks like nonsense. I will get to it as soon as I can, but I want to write in here why I want to use this, which is I want to be able to define like basically domain type APIs, like interacting with GitHub, have them all there, but then be able to delineate between what's doing a read and what's doing a write.
Yep. Yeah, well, leave that comment here is better for others. I mean, Luke is already on board, but it's better for other people to understand why is this needed. But yeah, but my goal is this one. That one is first needed because we need to just allow packages with just type in it.
That makes sense. Cool. Any questions for Yordis, y'all? I just give him a pop quiz. Anybody else want to? All right, guess you're off the hook now.
Nobody's interested in giving more work.
I can keep thinking of ones. I think this all started when you had asked me like, what could I do? And I'm like, well, there's this thing that I've always wanted. So I'm feeling good about that. So please keep coming to the community calls so that we can totally keep sharing work. Well, everybody, this is it for the agenda. I've run out of things that I have to talk about. But if anybody has any other topics, yeah.
One of my engineers just asked a question. Our only question is if there's, and this might be, apologies if this is not on course, right? It's real time and they're not on the call. If there is a alignment, if there's okay, let me read just the direct. If they are doing Wasm Cloud Network, is there use of torrent tracers through reverse SOX proxy?
Okay, so the way that the Wasm Cloud host itself works is right now you only have two different built-in host capabilities. You can build your own, and I think you guys, when I was just looking, should build your own. And you can build your own natively. So we have a Rust macro for building in a plugin. And if you want to do anything like a SOX proxy, you could build that into your host. For us, what we have everybody do, or like the most common thing for networking in, is that you're coming in from basically you're running Wasm Cloud in Kubernetes. That's like our happy path. You're running in Kubernetes. You're coming in through some load balancer, and then you hit either our runtime gateway or you have some type of ingress configured. And we support like the gamut in terms of all the different, like, are you using gateway, or are you using ingress, or are you using whatever? You can configure that in our Helm chart and get what you want. and then that it will go through that ingress, which is, you know, usually some kind of reverse proxy, and then it will hit and land on our host, which is listening on an HTTP port. That's the basics, but so much of Wasm Cloud, and actually it's fun to call that out. I didn't go too in depth on this, but my product embeds Wasm Cloud open source. And so what that basically means is I build my own custom host. And so I'm constantly dog fooding a couple different things. But essentially one of them is as an embedder, building my own host, there's certain things that I want to make sure are really nice and ergonomic on our API, on our wash host runtime API and our host builder APIs. So you can see that every once in a while, dog fooding it, I catch things that can be improved on our side. But in our docs, Eric wrote a really great talk through on how to build your own host. Let's do host. Host. Eric, are you on? Why am I messing up here? Your own.
Yeah, that should be under go on
runtime. Found it. Okay. I'm so sorry. I was so slow. So we have building your own custom host, and the reason why you build your own host is that potentially you've added a native plugin. So we build in all of the WASI capabilities are built in, but in a lot of cases you may want to add your own. And there may be new WASI proposals that aren't standardized yet, and you want to go ahead and add that. An example of that would be WASI Web GPU. We do actually already build that one in as well. But there's plenty of cases where you're doing I/O networking, hardware-specific APIs where you would want to build your own host. And so we lean into this really hard, and it has production use cases. And yeah, so full walkthrough on how to do your own host plugins. But the stuff that I was massaging yesterday is about making this make sure that you have type checks when you're messing with all of these options. So yeah, anyways.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Well, if anybody has anything else, I guess we get 11 minutes back. I'm going to try to get at least 1 or 2 issues filed before I move on to the next thing. I'm also going to be doing WASI issue triaging tomorrow in the WASI subgroup meeting. So if folks are interested and into that, and you're already part of the WASI SG, come join me in looking at the past. Starting in 2019, there are issues that have not been triaged, so it'll be fun. Or hard, I don't know. But if you join me, it'll definitely be fun. All right.
How do we join in?
Oh, okay. So if you haven't joined the WebAssembly community group, let me drop a link to that. So basically, first you have to join this. That link, share screen again. Okay, so when you join any W3C call, there you go here, do join as join, and then it will ask you to log in, and if you haven't created one, go create one. Oh, thinks I'm a bot. And then basically you're gonna say, I won't patent anything that I hear on this call. It's sort of the TLDR. I won't set up royalties. I won't do any patents. And once you've signed off on that, then you get access to. I have a hard time getting to it from this page, so I'm just gonna do it one more Google community calendar. So then, to get to it, you can join the WASI subgroup community calendar, but you can't get to it until you've logged into the W3C community group. And that's how you can join. You can also DM me and I will send you a link. But I want you to sign the no royalties rule first, and then you can join. That's how we protect open standards.
Sounds good. Thank you for this.
To be fair, Bailey, sometimes I think you're a bot based on what you accomplish. I mean, you do have AI in your name.
That is kind of great. Yeah, thanks. Didn't realize that until now, which is kind of funny. It is my name.
I think she is. Like, how you retain all this information in your head? Is this because you repeat it every day? What the heck is this? I'm taking this
well-
note into my graph. Hold on, Jungle.
Oh, you didn't have this already in your graph? Yordis, what?
No, I'm adding ask, Bailey.
And then the next two letters are LL. Or wait, L, like large language? I don't know.
You're stretching it. Well, I'm the chair of this meeting, so that is why I have this information. I'm the one person who's supposed to have it. So yeah. Contributions welcome. It is a standards meeting, which means it's supposed to be dry, but I try to make it as fun as I can. But basically, we've got a lot of different questions, a lot of different things that were false starts that'll never actually be real since WASI was established in December 2019. And obviously, WASI P1 was a whole era. Some of these things prior to WASI P1 even. So it'll be a journey. Yeah.
What is coming to WASI P4?
There's going to be no WASI P4.
Is that perfect? That's it?
No. Nope. There's definitely already stuff that we want to change. However, we can do all of this basically on top of P3, where we do additive only changes in P3, so no non-breaking changes. And when you say, I've got a better API than what I had before, you just add the other version of that, right? Just add it. Don't change the API that you wish you had done differently the first time. So one case is like, hey, I wouldn't have introduced the separate world to do handler. And Lan actually filed this issue during our last meeting. If he had had access to the component model feature of implements, he could actually get rid of that world and say, well, now you can just do an implementation of these already established worlds. Now, instead, that's just really a wit.doc comment talking about the way that you can consume this differently. And then we are filing issues for when we do 1.0, all we're going to be doing is shaving off warts. So in the scenario in that one where he's like, well, I wouldn't have even created another world if I had the implements feature, we're just going to delete the world on 1.0. So the move from WASI P3 to 1.0 will be intentionally breaking. And everything that you're going to try to do in 1.0 will be in P3. So you will have a deprecation path and you'll be able to move to it and then allow us to shave off warts. And in theory, the move from P3 to 1.0 won't be too painful. But yeah, no P4. You've heard it here. And if people start talking about that, I'm gonna be real. we're gonna have to talk because we're so close. Like the native async was the hardest, biggest lift, but I do want to call out that between P2 and P3, that was non-breaking. It was a huge lift, and we didn't break anything. That was additive only, which is pretty freaking cool. That's why I'm very positive that we can get there on the base that we've built. And we've got continuous releases. The next one is October, like 12th or something. I will be cutting that next, and my goal is to have cooperative threads in there, like what we were talking about with why you should try out the new WASI SDK right now. I am also like jockeying for a couple of major features. I'm kind of scared to say them out loud because I might freak somebody out, but things like maybe Yordis's work would be huge to land by then and get that into WASI 0.3.2 because we've already cut 0.3.1.
Bailey, I have a question for you. Because how today, since I'm the one who's touching the most these new things in WIT, the question is like, how can I tell which version of the WIT you generated things with from the runtime and be able to deal with the shenanigans there?
It's got a version identifier in it. In the API. Not in the WIT, but in the component model ABI, so in the .wasm.
Okay.
And not only that,
Yeah.
there is a little bit of human here, where Luke is managing a table of emoji gates of which ones have been admitted to which release of WASI. And that's where they're basically ungated features where everybody can consume them.
Okay.
There's a little bit of imperfection here, but
what is in that sorry, I can look it up myself, but I'm just trying to be human, right? Like, what is in that wasm per se? It's like the tag
its
that you
version.
added.
This wasn't
Of
me, this
the
was Luke.
bygen or the width or what?
There is a version in the ABI. One second, let me find it. I always have I have a hard time going through the design spec space. I don't know if you guys have felt that.
I felt bad for Luke, to be honest, because I asked him this time. I said, "Hey, let me do the pull request and the issue for the component model." But then I'm like running into silly things that most likely he just like no. And I have to like learn how this like width file and the other one. No, not the width that indeed the what is the other file?
Canonical ABI. That's
Yeah,
where that's where I'm looking right now because that's where I think it should be, but it's not there.
the displaner. Like, okay,
Yeah.
like some stuff are in displaner, the other one is in the width, and like, oh my god. And here I am like trying to learn.
All right. It took me 1,000,001 years, but I got there. Here. This is what you're looking for.
Okay. You see, so in the binary, you see, it's just another Django. You know what? Let me add this Django sword to my Django thingy.
I think some people haven't seen it. You should show us your latest version while you do that.
Yeah, wait, hold on. I can let me do that. I'm trying to make it
I'm speaking on my next
navigable.
call. Have a great day, everybody. Adam, it's great to see you again, by the way. Don't be a stranger. Join Wasm Cloud Slack. Get your team on there. Like as Bailey mentioned, there's no shortage of great ideas for us to collaborate on. And what I've always loved about WebAssembly and CNCF Wasm Cloud is that it's really just about building better together.
That's exactly right. Thank you. See you.
Yeah, have a great day. See you guys.
Bye. Oh, he left. Yeah. The jungle. Where am I at with the jungle? Hold on. What the heck is this? I'm so lost right now. I lost. Give me a second.
You're lost in the jungle? Is that what you're saying?
I am. Hey, I don't know if yeah, okay. Have you seen this? This is just like a weekly Django thingy. Again, I need to, now I can add between people. I added like context. So you could be like between these two who they are. IDG, like, I need to make some, jokes in profile because this is my Django anyway. So, yeah. Yeah, this is what I have thus far. I don't know what this is. I need to, okay, here, should I put the people over here? Because it's really difficult. Why the heck Victor is in this side? It will be more like.
Well, that's the challenge, right? Because really, whenever you look at us, you'll see that our hands are like, we're all in a couple different boxes here. So.
Yeah, maybe maybe I should just put the people over here by their own graph and then point them to these things, because Victor, you should be more closer to me here than there. Sorry, blend AI. The AI is the one doing the research.
Side. Oh, but I also work on componentized as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, don't take it with a grain of salt. Like, gonna continue doing this. Like, yes or yes. This is like basically me documenting Bailey's brain. Like, if you're wondering what Bailey does, like, go ahead, click in that guy. Look at that. That's just like halfway done.
I'm glad we're being cheerful about the surveillance apparatus you're building.
Yes, yes, yes. For people that don't know,
any more quickly, this is bad, but this is good.
For people that don't know in this call, like one of these two,
Oh, no.
technically need to expand upon, and I have to include a branch that is literally a GitHub, like a Git branch, because behind it there is a rat, like multiple things in it.
Is this all vibe coded?
Yeah, I mean, come on, really? Like,
Can you go 3D?
I thought, I have the conversation with. I wanted to do it like the Pokemon game. But then I'm like, why would people be walking around to see, like, at some point it's like, it's not gonna be productive. So, but yes, yeah, it could be 3D.
I mean, just a graph might be okay. Just a graph. I don't think you have to like make it so you like a game. But anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, it's very coded. I'm just like keep adding to it, like, hey, and add this the information about it. Like now I already had to add the Bailey one today. I'm gonna add that. Yeah, and I may just like put all the people over here, I think. This guy's, I don't know who this person is, but he's alone over there. I don't know why.
Okay. This is worth talking about. Bobby Holly is CTO Firefox. He is on the board for Bytecode Alliance, and he is a total awesome dude. Hang on, I need to turn off the live stream so I can actually say what I want to say.
I can tell you